So, I'm Yuriko, and I am embarking on yet another 30-day journey.
Alright, just to interrupt, most of this video was filmed on my camera, except for the parts like this that I'm doing now. I didn't really want to be setting up a microphone and everything just to record 2 minutes every time, which I guess is lazy on my part. But yeah, so sorry about the drop in quality between this and most of it.
My first was art, and that was kind of an analogy for composing. My second was sound design. It never really ended up getting made because it was ended up being like 3 hours and I couldn't cut down with it. The editing was too hard, but I did do it. And now this time, number 3 will be piano. If you haven't yet seen the first video or don't want to, this is how it works. I'm going to show you my current level, and then at the end of the video, you're going to see where I got to in 30 days.
Now, it's worth noting that in the past I have actually practiced piano. Not a lot, and not even to get my level to a spot where I would even call myself an amateur pianist. But I want to make it clear that I have a level in piano. I'm not someone who just learnt the notes 30 seconds ago and then started playing. And more specifically for this piece,
I was basically sight reading. Years ago, I did actually play that full from start to finish. Not perfectly and not at full speed, I doubt, but I could actually play it. So there's probably some muscle memory still lingering, although I don't know how much it played because that was years ago.
as is the definition of a challenge, difficulty needs to be involved. And there were a fair few difficulties that I met along this journey. The first one, as I will tell you here, is the placement of the piano.
The reason I don't really practice too much is because it's bad. You probably didn't see from the angle, but this is where I want my hands to be. And that's where I've got to lift them.
It is perfect for composing, which is what it's there for, but it is just too high for practicing.
Then down here, where my pedal is, where you would normally be using your right foot, I have a sub. And so I can't really use the pedal there. And so I use my left foot, which I don't think is really the end of the world. It's not really an important thing. I have no trouble swapping when I am out and playing on an actual piano or something. I always use my right foot because I think that's what people do. But I've never really been like, oh, it's tricky because I'm so used to using my left foot. But I want to note that. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow or the day after. I don't know. Laters.
The next complication came about a week into the challenge.
Day 7 now, and I would kind of say that I can play this piece pretty well. It's not perfect, and you will see. I've started to realize that I don't think you can really sight read piano. Probably some people who are really good can, but I can't because I can't see both lines at the same time and do what they're both doing. I can easily sight read one hand or the other, maybe not to speed or whatever, depends on how hard it is, but but I can't do both. I can't look, especially when they have different rhythms and stuff. So if I was to get this piece perfect, what I'd have to do would be to memorize it. And there's parts that I have memorized just from playing over it so many times, but for this 30-day challenge, I don't want to spend 30 days or 20 days memorizing one boring piece. I'd rather learn some new pieces that are harder and stuff. For now, I'm going to keep it as like a warm-up piece, do it every day and see if that gets better and I memorize it. But otherwise, I think it's about as good as it's going to get. I'm not really going to dedicate too much time to it besides a simple playthrough.
This was a really big dilemma. If I wanted to really properly utilize that 30 minutes that I have a day, then if I can sight read well, I can cover so much more ground because I don't have to focus on what notes I'm playing. I can focus on how I'm playing them. And in fact, when I did these other two challenges, the sound design one and the art one, I did actually spend time working on specific skills. In the art one, I worked on how things fold or angles, perspective, and hands and whatnot. And for the sound design one, I spent time working just on super swords, just on growls, But unfortunately, whilst specializing in certain skills can be very effective for those skills, it doesn't improve your overall skill level. And if I want to show you my progress over 30 days, sight reading is not something that's visible to an audience. And believe me, I would get great at sight reading, and that would make piano playing so much easier, and I would progress so much faster. But I don't think that I would progress much faster within that 30 days. In the long run, it's absolutely the right thing to do. But for 30 days, unfortunately, I made the sad decision that if I wanted to actually progress and have something cool to show you guys at the end of 30 days, I would have to bite the bullet and pick a piece to memorize. But that would come later. Until then, I did have a very cool realization about sight reading.
What I have noticed from the reading is that you don't really read like you read on any other instrument, where you're actually looking at the notes. I find because you've got to look at the two, what you kind of do is you go, okay, this starts on an A, and it's the arpeggio. And it's like, okay, what else do you look for? Is the arpeggio an arpeggio that ends on the root note, or does it go to the seventh? When I look at that, I'll go, oh, it's a seventh arpeggio from G. And then I can look at that, play, and look at the other hand and see what the other hand's doing. Similarly, when we look at like chords, I don't look at the chord and go, okay, that's an A minor seventh chord. What I do is I say, oh, okay, it's on a G, and then it's a chord that's in second inversion. Instead of like building just an arpeggio or looking at all the notes, I'll go, okay, it's here, and then we're going to build a chord skipping from here.
And as a master guitarist with perfect technique, I am one of the few people on earth who understand the value of proper fingerings when you're playing an instrument. So I started doing this.
Whenever I play a song, I try to do the scale of the song, if it's major or minor, and just to get that in, because now this song was pretty simple, as you heard, but in some of these other songs that I've been learning, they actually have some scalic runs and other like arpeggios and things that I feel like it's now actually valuable to learn the correct fingerings to play that stuff.
But to be clear, I don't spend too much time on that. I basically just find the key of the song, do one or two playthroughs of the scale, trying to make sure that I have the right fingerings, and then I just forget about it. Anyway, day 7 performance update. Also, side note, in the description, I'm going to include full playthroughs of all those videos that I took. I think that they're going to look really boring, and it's going to be bad and difficult to sit through, so I'm not putting them in this. But if you do want to see them, for whatever reason, you can see the entire performance and the unlisted video in the description. Now, if you just watch that and you're thinking, what did he mean when he said...
I would kind of say that I can play this piece pretty well.
Well, day 13 Yuri has a very good explanation on this.
Alright, so we're just doing a quick little update, basically. It's day 13 now. When I first tried to play the song, it was kind of bad. And not bad because I was bad. It was bad because the stress of, like, filming made me kind of nervous, which I didn't think it would because it's just a camera. But I guess because I don't have 1,000 takes, because I only have that half an hour, it maybe stressed me out a little bit. It sounded pretty bad. So I did another one yesterday, which would have been day 11, and it was considerably better. Still definitely stressed out. It really stabilizes my point that playability is one thing on piano. The other part is whether you know the music off by heart. Yes, once you get to a level where you can sight read 2 parts at once, then sure, that's different. But when you can't sight read those 2 levels at once, and sight reading is another thing in itself.
Anyway, that same day, I decided to commit to a song.
I have picked up this piece, which is a Toho song. And the friend who actually got me into composition, she was like, "This is the first song I learned on piano," which is absurd because it's pretty hard. Definitely harder than anything I've done so far.
Okay, maybe this means nothing to you, but this is such a cool thing to me. Me doing composition led to me making this video, and the composer who got me started on composition, the first song that she learned how to play was this song. So the first, and that's the last song that I'm gonna play. So it's like, it's gone full circle. Conceptually, it is very cool.
But yeah, it's going cool. I'll show you. I did a quick little playthrough to demonstrate it. I don't know why it took so long, but before this, I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to waste time just going over the parts that I can't do. So instead, I'll just throw a lot of it at me, and then more will stick than just focusing on one small part. Which, if you want to actually improve, the best thing that you should do is like just focus on every problem, do everything perfectly, and then move on. Which is the best way to get from A to Z. But I'm not trying to get to A to Z. I only have 30 days. So the fastest way to get from A to D is to just skim over those things, make a little bit of mistakes and stuff, and just keep going. Because the more you throw at yourself, the faster you'll learn. But you will cause problems that will make life harder for you in the long run. So that method gets you faster to A to D, but it takes a lot longer to get from A to Z. I kind of had that mindset. Just kind of the other day was like, this is stupid. Why would I want to put my own thing more difficult just to make the video look like I got further? So I've kind of put that aside now, and I've actually started to focus on the parts that I'm struggling with. And I'll give you an update in a few days of how that's going, basically. I also want to say, if I didn't in the other video, E flat scale sucks. That's the weirdest shit ever. Why does it start on not the start fingers? Maybe this one does, but this one definitely starts on your 2, which is so weird. Go 2 and then your thumb. So today's day 26, which means that there's 4 days left. On the 24th, I made this list, which basically has broken up. That was at 6 days, so broken up the parts into 6 different sections that I need to practice. And if I can get each section done in 1 a day, then it gives me one last day on the 30th to polish it, bring it all together, and if there are any mistakes. So the intro, I broke into 2 different sections. I did that yesterday, as I'll show you here. And then I've just done the second part of the intro today.
Another complication arose, and that was joining sections.
And that was very difficult, putting them both together. My brain couldn't really function, honestly. Like, it just managed to do the second part. And then very, very slowly. But when I put them both together, I was forgetting, like, some of the first part. So it's definitely a problem, but I'm sure once I
learned from my mistakes, though, and this was something that I actually focused on for all the next parts. I would play the leading note in the bar before the section, and then at the end, I would play the starting notes of the next bar of the next section. The weird part is, though, that this is exactly what I do when I'm practicing guitar or clarinet. I don't know why I didn't do it on piano, but for some reason it didn't cross my mind until struggling with it. And Anyway, I'm doing it now. Hope you got this far into the video and you haven't subscribed or liked the video yet. Very uncool. But for real, it does mean a lot to me, so please do that. Before we wrap things up, there were 2 more complications that arose. But before that, good news.
All right, this is going to be one of the last updates I do because it's day 29 today. I haven't practiced yet, but it will be when I practice. Probably going to be the last update that I actually do because what could happen in the next 2 days, today and tomorrow. So I don't know. The piece is going really well. I don't even think I need to dedicate more time to specific sections anymore. There's the intro, the middle part are the 2 sections, the main melody and the intro, and then the main melody happens in 3 different variations, and the intro happens at the end in a different variation. But those 2 main sections were there, and I kind of broke up a lot of time for the main section, which I just smashed through because it's so similar. The hard part is remembering which one that you're doing because they're like 2 notes out each time. That's all it is. That's a little bit tricky, but the main difficulty that I'm having that I forgot to mention, but I had been noticing it, is I constantly, and I mean constantly, have the issue of dealing with, on guitar, if you want to play nicely, you need to hold your finger down the entire length of the note. And that's something I've spent years, 10 plus years on guitar working at, trying to make that cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And it's still something that I focus on, even when, obviously only in fast passages, not like in a slow, easy section, but in fast passages, I'm still working on how to make my hand do the most legato playing I can do. And that's the opposite of piano. So I find myself on piano going like, and holding everything down. And I'm realizing, I realized this a while ago, but I'm realizing that this is a big issue. This actually slows you down a lot. Because on piano, you've got the foot pedal to do that. All you got to do is bump, bump, bump. And then you can be moving on to whatever the next thing is. And I'm getting used to it in the right hand is not too bad with it. The left hand, when I do the melody, I still kind of hold all the keys down as I'm going. But just an interesting point, though, I wanted to say that is something I probably wouldn't have figured out by just doing the minimal nothing practice that I do, maybe 1 play every month or so, you know.
This is an issue that I didn't vlog about, which is crazy because I was thinking about it all the time and it was a big issue. And that was the intro and the final section have the same melody and the same chords, more or less. Not only are they more difficult to play than that middle section, the main melody part, but because they're so similar, I kept forgetting which one went where. So whilst I'm dealing with having to play the hardest part, I'm doing this like internal battle milliseconds before I have to play a note. Like, oh, is it this the just simple arpeggio? Or is this the arpeggio that goes up to the 3rd? Or the one that goes up and comes back down? And is this the time when the melody goes to D and F or C and F? You get the picture, but it was very confusing. And in my best playings, just practicing, you probably wouldn't notice if you were listening, but as the player, I definitely noticed, I knew, and it made me sad. But alas, without further ado, I show you my pièce de résistance. I actually recorded this one in Cubase so you can like see the MIDI as it goes along. So it's a little nicer than just having to look at my hands like you did the other ones. But And that's 30 days of piano. Now, you won't really see, because that was a really bad playthrough. Classic cope, I know, but I swear when I was doing it in the practices, even beforehand that day, that I only got 2 or 3 mistakes, and they were small mistakes, not big ones. But as soon as those cameras come on, you better believe I start playing as poorly as possible. But yeah, I am quite happy with the progress I made. Not the final performance, but the actual skill level that I obtained. Like, I definitely feel a lot more confident when I'm playing. I can break things down a lot easier when I'm like sight reading stuff, or even doing something that I've played a couple times. It might not be a sight reading. And I wrote a cool track that used some like chords that I wouldn't have thought of if I wasn't thinking like a piano player. You won't hear that for a very long time, but it's cool that it's already coming to usefulness. Anyway, subscribe and stuff. Thanks for watching. Ciao, ciao.